All right, shalom. First and foremost, gotta give all of the praises to the Most High and the Son,
Yahawah, Hasham,
Yahawashi,
Yahawashi,
and double honors to the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to the Yakim out there that continue to further this ministry as always. We're going to get started with a scripture, and we're going to begin by reading what the base scripture is going to be, 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, verse 1.
Okay, so this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, from verse 1.
Come.
Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahawashi Hamashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Yahawashi is at hand.
For as the day of the Lord is at hand. And at the time that the Apostle Paul and the men that was following, they thought that the day of the Lord was at their time. As always, you know, in their time or another. But this more applies to now, because we see, as I was going into yesterday, in proving that most of the prophecies, more in particular the New Testament prophecies, were much more referring to now, because in the now we're seeing the signs and the wonders that Yahawashi told the disciples. Okay, so I want you to read that again, and then we're going to get the precept to that.
Yeah, so this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, from verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahawashi Hamashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Yahawashi is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away.
Right, and that day would come except there be a falling away. So when the Apostle Paul spoke these words, it was during the, now some scholars say it's about 53 BC, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe, 53 AD it was, right? So what Paul was speaking about here was the time of 70 AD, something that took place 17, 18 years later. That was the great fall away that happened first. That happened to the Jews, which really, they weren't just one tribe, but obviously the kingdom of Judah, because they were all packed up in the city of Jerusalem, and they all died in there. How they died in there, but I got the information into just to go into it, and that's one of the events that we can't forget. Just like how we can't forget about slavery that occurred and happened to our people, we can't forget about 70 AD, because during that time, that was really the beginning of the curse, which was really written in Deuteronomy 28 and 64, where we would be scattered abroad. Now, we were scattered abroad before the fall of Jerusalem. Some of us were in the, like, for example, if you go back and read the times of Kings, you had the Assyrians that took hold of the northern kingdom, and then later on we were situated in Babylon, the southern kingdom. So Israel was always scattered, but 70 AD was the great scatterment, should I say, began the great scatterment of our people. So that's the time that we must remember. All right, so yeah, rerun that again. Read the second verse again.
So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 2, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Yahawashi is at hand. Let no man deceive you.
Which applies to right now. Go on.
Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first.
And Yahawashi spoke about that falling away, going all the way back to the prophet Daniel, which is in the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter, where we spoke about the abominations and the desolation, how they would pretty much raise up themselves against the temple of, should I say, the landmass of Jerusalem, and they would take down the whole building construct of Jerusalem. All right, you're going, brother.
I've got what you called for. This is Daniel 9 and verse 26. It says, "And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself and the people of the prince that shall come and destroy the city and the sanctuary."
Right. So let's read that again one more time.
"And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary."
That shall come and destroy the city. So who was that man in particular? You had Titus, but it was more so Vespasian. them, them two, I believe it, yeah, Titus, and you had Titus and Domitian and Vespasian. So they were really responsible for the fall of Jerusalem in the way that they have approached our people, because our people were really giving them a hard time during that time. Our people were in that revoltive kind of spirit against the ancient Roman Empire. So this is something that Yahawashi was reverting to the disciples that were following him. And I want you to get Matthew 24.
Kind of got it. Matthew 24 from 1?
Yeah.
Right, so this is Matthew 24 and verse 1. And Yahawashi went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came for him to shew them the buildings of the temple. And Yahawashi said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be here left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Yeah, because it would take them to burn the temple of Jerusalem down to the rubble. And I'm going to go into that because I have some information on this. And before I get into this information here, and showing that what Yahawashi told the disciples, which was basically the prophecy of Daniel, actually happened in the way that he explained it was going to happen. All right? But I want to deal with how Yahawashi explained it in this article here. Okay? So what I want you to do is jump down to verse 15.
Matthew 24 and verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet,
which he was referring to the Romans, the Edomites, that came down, as I was talking about before, that pursued the gates of Jerusalem and destroyed it. Go on.
Start again. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee unto the mountains, and let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and unto them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter.
So all of that happened during that time period. So where it says, pray not that your flight be not in the winter, that was referring to back then. That's not referring to right now. All of that referred to back then, so to speak. But as Yahawashi said in verse 2, as you can read to me again,
Matthew 24 and 2 again, it says, And Yahawashi said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another.
So let's just build on that. So I have I have this article here, BibleHistory.com. It goes into the Jewish wars. So it reads, the Jewish wars began in 66 AD, and they were a direct revolt by the Jews against Rome's authority. Titus and his Roman legions arrived at the outmost northern wall of Jerusalem, the Passover of 70 AD. And the Romans built embankments of earthenworks, and they placed battering rams, and the siege began. And the Roman army numbered 30,000, while the Jewish army numbered 24,000, according to Tacitus. And they were 600,000 visitors crowding the streets of Jerusalem for the Passover. After 5 months of the wall were battered down, and the great temple was burned down, and the city was left ruined and desolate, except for Herod, 3 great towers, and the northwestern corner of the city. And these served as a memorial of the massive strength of Jerusalem's fortification, which Titus of Rome had brought to a rubble. So he brought that whole place to a rubble, including the temple, which goes back to what Yahawashi said in Matthew 24 verse 2. That's the prophecy. Okay? But sometimes when you read Matthew 24, not sometimes, but there's times when you further read down, it also talks about things that's going to happen in these times as well. But when you read the first couple of verses, especially from verse 15 and onwards, a little over verse 15, it's referring to this time period. Yahawashi was referring to the downfall of Jerusalem at the time. That's what he was talking about. Okay, so we're going to move forward.
Got another precept.
Okay, go on, brother.
This is Deuteronomy 28 and 49. And the Lord Yahawashi shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance. We shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young.
Nor show favor to the young, because a lot of people died in the siege of Jerusalem. A lot of people died, including women and children. And what they did was this information on how
there's two, and I'm just letting him know.
Destroy the people and withholding food from going into the city. And then they starved to death right in that city. Okay, and then as you later move forward, you had a couple of Jews, or those of the northern kingdom, that survived, and they fled into different parts of the earth. That goes into in the book of Revelations, where it says that the earth helped the woman. That wasn't referring to the historical accounts. That was referring to the actual earth, because they were able to scatter. They were able to get away from the Romans, which were persecuting them. Okay, some of them went from North Africa, some of them went to, but the bulk of them went to West Africa. That's why you have a lot of those West Africans. They keep certain traditions that go back to the Israelites, like the circumcision and other things. And then you have certain groups of them that actually know that they're Jews. They're the descendants of the actual Israelites, which they are the actual Israelites. And as well as the so-called white people, beginning with the so-called Jews, they know the same people who they put into slavery and funded, they are the Jews. Okay?
Lorraine.
Go on, brother.
And what you were just saying about the woman being pursued by the dragon, this is
Revelation. Get me that
Umbrella.
Yeah.
1 second.
Oh, so there's three altogether then. Yeah.
Yeah, the elder was talking about the West Africans. You got the Igbo tribe, which goes back to, which means Hebrew.
Yep.
Go back to what, Ibar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on. So they know who they are.
Yeah.
And that's with the slave. What is it? The slavists were calling them. They called them by their tribal name. They didn't call them Africans. They didn't call them anything rather than Igbos, which the word Igbo, like the brother broke it down, it goes back to the word Ibar, which means Hebrew. So they were the Hebrews that were taken into slavery onto the other side of the world, which was called the New World at one time, and that's where the curse began. Which really we was always under the curses, but the curses through a process of time got worse and worse. Gradually. Yeah, go on, brother.
I've got the precept. So this is Revelation chapter 9 and verse 1.
Yeah.
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth.
Yeah.
And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
Mm-hmm.
And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, and as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
Mm-hmm.
And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and upon them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power.
Mm-hmm.
And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth.
So that's talking about World War II, brother.
Salakia.
How much you should be getting is Revelations 12.
You know what? I misplaced the precept. I was a page behind. Salakia.
No, that's all right.
Let me read the right part. It says, Revelation 12. And it says, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her crown upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I got mixed up one page.
No, that's all
and
right.
she being with child cried, travailing in birth, pain to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, behold, a great red dragon,
Yes.
having 7 heads and 10 horns,
Yep.
and 7 crowns upon his head.
Which represents the Roman system. Go on.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Right. Now, that's twofold, because during the time of Yahawashi, when Yahawashi was born, Herod the king, which he stemmed all the way back to the Greeks, the Edomites, he was what you call, as you can call, Jewish. Because he looked like our people, but he really wasn't. His descendants went back to the Greeks. So during his time, he knew that the Messiah was going to return, as you read in Matthew's, I believe it's in Matthew's chapter 2, where he saw a star or some sort of a chariot. I believe it was a chariot he saw. So then he later sent his men down there, his soldiers, to pretty much get rid of the male children of the Israelites, so that eventually that there would be no Messiah for the Israelites. But the Spirit was working with Joseph and his wife, and the Lord told him to escape and to go into the interiors of Egypt. But you had Israelite communities in Egypt, and then eventually they can come back into Jerusalem again. All right, so that, go on, brother.
Now the phone's playing up. One second. This phone's playing up. And it's basically the precept where it says there was a lament in Ramah, Rachel crying for her children. Because that's the fulfillment of all the 2-year-olds and under getting slaughtered by, what's his name? By Herod, yeah.
Herod the king, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so I mean, it just goes to show you that man has their thoughts and their ideas and their plans, but they never work out because it was never really by the will of that Father for them to work out in that fashion. Okay, I mean, we could even go and take it back all the way during the time of ancient Egypt when the midwives were told to get rid of the Hebrew babies, the male babies once again, and it didn't happen because one of the men was saying, I believe it was the Pharaoh at the time, excuse me, was saying that the Hebrew women were more lively. So because he liked the Israelite women, he said, okay, we'll just keep the men alive then. And then eventually we grew as a nation. The more we suffered under that empire, because we served hardcore slavery there, we multiplied. And it's just like how it is right now. Like, Esau has set up these different clinics, these, Planned Parenthood clinics, to pretty much subdue the population of our people. But yet our people, they still multiply. You know what I mean? Because their fear is that if we multiply, then we could take over. And it's like that in America. Like, there's more so-called, as they say, because they like to call us the minorities in the States. But the so-called minorities have actually allowed Esau to become the minority. You see? There's more Hispanic so-called, there's more so-called black people that are there that have actually overpopulated the whites. And the so-called whites are having a hard time to repopulate their people. Go on, brother.
This is Exodus, the 1st chapter, and from verse 8.
Yeah.
And it says, Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Yeah, they became more and mighty. Go on.
Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Yeah, because they thought that the Israelites were going to take them over just by them multiplying. But what they didn't realize is years later, in Moses' time, that Moses would use spiritual power against the Pharaoh and overtake that particular empire the way that he did it. Okay, because it was really the Lord, the Spirit of the Lord, messing with the Pharaoh and took over that kingdom. So these devils, they feel as though if we multiply, we're going to take their shit over. But no, that's not how it's going to go down. The way that we're going to take this system will be spearheaded by Yahawashi. It's going to take a man with that of which is coming with angelic force. If you can, brother, real quickly, Isaiah 47. Somebody get me Isaiah 47. Corrupt, you can give me Isaiah 47. Verse 2. Because the Lord is going to come back and take this man down. And they somewhat got to know this. And it really shouldn't be a somewhat. They should already know what the deal is. Because these devils, they have the high technology that we don't have. And we can only but see the chariots from our own naked eye in the way that we can view it. But they have the helicopters, they have the technology to scope out what's really in the skies above. Okay, so they should already know the deal. And they've been gathering intel of listening to our videos and watching us, as we already know. And I'm going to make this very clear, and so that you Edomites know that are a part of this government, whether you're so-called Jews or whoever you are, that are a part of this government that we serve. We know that you're watching us. We know that we're highly likely public enemy number one. We know this. You know, we know that you got our information, you got our faces, and all of that stuff. We already know the deal because we're the only men that's actually telling you what nobody else could tell you. And what we're telling you is that eventually your civilization, your empire is going to fall. And we're going to take you out, but we're not going to take you out per se. The Messiah is going to do that job.
That's right.
And when the Lord saves the ones of us, we're going to be given spiritual power. And then we're going to pretty much add insult into injury on top of what Yahawashi is going to do to y'all. Okay? That's what we're telling you. And then eventually you're going to be our slaves. So no one's telling you this but us. And we're hastening the coming of the downfall of your society. So I mean, here it is, you're seeing the signs and wonders of what we're saying. And it's coming true to you from your perspective. So really, you have to watch us. You have to be aware of us. And I mean, I don't really blame y'all for being aware of us, because what we're telling you is basically just that. Your world is going to be destroyed. And we're going to take over your world, and we're going to be the new ruling people. We're going to be the new ones that are going to set up our kingdom on the earth. Okay, so let's read this.
Isaiah 47:2. Take the millstones and grind mill.
Yeah.
Uncover the locks.
Yeah, we're going to get that scripture back later on. Anyway, you read that.
Make bare the leg.
Yeah.
Uncover the fire. Pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered.
Yep.
Yea, thy shame shall be seen.
Come on.
I will take vengeance. I will not meet thee as a man.
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, you devils out there, you have to be aware of the Lord coming back and the angels. We'll do something to y'all after all of the smoke is cleared, or probably in the midst of that time too, because some of us are going to be given spiritual power in that same time. However, you got to look forward to the angels and the Lord coming at you, because that's what's written in the Bible. So we're the only individuals that can tell you this. We're not individuals, but we're a pack of men that are telling you this. And it's not just us in the UK, as you all understand and know, it's us worldwide. We're saying the same thing, and we're proclaiming your downfall. Every time we pull out the Bible, each and every second, we're leading to your downfall. Or millisecond, for that fact. Every time we pull this Bible out. Go on, brother.
This is Jeremiah 16:16.
Go on.
Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord Yahawashi, and they shall fish them.
Yeah.
And after I will send for many hunters.
Yeah, that's going to be the angels, man. And certain brothers, that's going to be granted spiritual power. So it's written. It's already done. Like I've said not last week, but a couple of days ago on Wednesday, that it's already been written who's going to be subdued and who's going to overcome. And eventually, we're going to be the ones that's going to overcome y'all. As Moses told us, the Israelites, because of what we done, because of our disobedience, we were going to be overcome by the devil. And that's exactly what happened. Just like just a brief time ago, real brief time ago, we was going into the fall of Jerusalem of 70 AD. And the way Yahawashi told the disciples of how they were going to fall, that's exactly what happened. Okay, when the Heavenly Father prophesied to the disciples of the things that was going to come to pass before its time, it actually happened. Now, have we reached the fulfillment of all that is said in Matthew 24? No. There's other prophecies that are gonna fall in line next. Okay, and like I've said before, there's some scriptures, there's some verses in Matthew 24 that haven't came to pass yet, but it will come to pass in these times. All right, go on, brother.
A little bit more. And now after I will send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain.
You're going.
And from the hill, and out of the holes of the rocks.
Come on, and out of the holes of the rocks, because you're going to have the ones of these elites that are going to be hiding in these underground bunkers. It says, when they dig into the earth, then shall my hand take them. What does that mean? Meaning, we're going to scope you out, and we're going to take you out of those dens that you put yourself in, those pits, that you put yourself in, those underground bunkers. And we're going to yank you out of there, and we're going to slap chains on you, and you're going to get the work. Okay? And the first work you're going to be doing is mentioned in the book of Ezekiel 39, or whatever work we tell you to do. I don't know how it's going to be exactly, but you're going to be put to work. That's where the bus is going to stop. Go on, brother.
Finish with that. I'm on Isaiah 2:10. Enter into the rock and hide thee in the dust, for the fear of the Lord Yahawashi.
Yeah.
And for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled.
Yeah, because they're going to try to escape. They're going to be so fearful that it's gonna come to their minds, and they're going to realize, you know what? We really can't defeat this thing. So we might as well just hide in the rocks. But the Lord is going to put the spirit on certain men that's in these positions of being the warriors that they're going to be to fight these things in the sky. And they're going to lose miserably. And the ones of these elites that have propelled this thing to go on, they're going to be in those bunkers. Okay? So everything that we're reading to you, we're not posing, we're not threatening you. The scriptures is threatening you. We're just telling you what's going to happen. As every empire came and gone, there were prophets in these empires to let the rulers know of the people, and including the people know that there was going to be a downfall of that civilization or that particular empire. All right? And this empire is no different than the previous empires of the past, especially ancient Rome. In ancient Rome, and there will be prophets coming back, riding their lot to do the same thing, to telling you devils what the deal is going to be. And the deal is that you're going downhill eventually. And then you have to pay for the crimes that you've committed against these beings out here. Okay, all of the shedding of blood and the shedding of innocent blood among our people. All of that has to be repaid. All of that has to be recompensated. Let me use that term in itself. Okay? So let's continue on with that. You got some more on that?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, so let's get back to the original.
I was just going to say something briefly. You mentioned about we're going to put these other nations, particularly Esau, to work. This is Ezekiel 39 and 14.
Oh, yeah.
And they shall serve out men of continual employment.
It's going to be continual employment. What does it mean continual? It means it's going to be perpetual slavery. It's just simple. Like, when we get all you other nations are going to be under us. There's no such thing or an idea of a world where every last one of us, including these other nations, are going to be blessed together. That's not in the Bible, man. There's only one people that's going to be blessed. And you know the word bless simply means to bow down. So somebody's going to be doing the bowing. Somebody's going to be doing the bowing, man. And it's not going to be us. Now, we bow to Esau. We bow to these other nations at one particular point in time. When you had the Medo-Persian Empire, we was under them. We was bound to them. So much so that you have the majority of our people that gravitated to worshiping their gods and worshiping their empire, as well as you have it as right now, as well as you had in the time of Babylon. So we already did the bowing to y'all. Now it's time for y'all to do the bowing to us, that we be blessed. Go on.
It says, and they shall serve out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth.
And this is post-nuclear war. So after the dust is settled, you're going to put away your guns, you're going to put away those dead bodies right where they need to be. And you devils are going to be put to work in cleaning the earth, being that you started all of this mess to begin with. Anyway, going, brother, as the saying goes, all wars are banker wars. So the same bangers that have caused these wars, especially this Third World War, they're going to be the same ones pretty much dealing with the dirt they've caused. Cleaning the dirt that they've caused, excuse me. All right, to rise up. Go on, brother.
And they shall serve out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months they shall search.
So even the sun had to come in and chime in on what we're reading. You see? Go on.
It says, and the passengers that pass through the land, when any man seeth a man's bone, then he shall set up a sign by it till he buries, till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon Gog.
And that's all of these Edomites, especially the ones of them that remain alive, because not everybody's going to die. Not everybody's going to die. So there's going to be a very few of us that are going to remain alive on this earth. But the ones of our enemies that remain alive, they're going to be put into captivity. You know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, that's what's written, man. That's what's written. So we're going to get back to the original point. Going back to what we had before. Come on.
Let me start at verse 3. So this is 2 Thessalonians chapter, it was 2, wasn't it?
Come on, yeah.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first.
Yeah, as we expounded upon already what the falling away was. And I'll just say it again, it was the fall of our people during the time of 70 AD, the time of Masada, which lasted from 66 AD to 70 AD. Go on, brother.
And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
And then that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So how do we know who this man is? Now, is it a particular man? No, it's a group of people, it's a nation that are alive and well today that many of you Christians have said, beginning with you individuals that's following vocab alone, or vocab alone per se has said that they don't exist. They were all murdered and done away with. No, they're still alive and well today. They're ruling the earth. Okay? And if a whole entire race was wiped out in history, it would have been well spoken of. Just like Sodom and Gomorrah was always well spoken of, and it's still well spoken of, excuse me. All right? So these are major, that would be considered a major event spoken of, where there would have been a date to it. There would have been a particular time and a date to it when that event occurred. But can nobody find the evidence of that, because the evidence of that doesn't exist, and because of that, it never happened. So when will it happen? It's going to happen when the kingdom of heaven is set up, and 1,000 years into the future, after they get done serving us, as it says in the book of Obadiah, 1 verse 18, that will pretty much be an activation 1,000 years later. Go on, brother.
And it says in verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called a God, or that is worshipped.
Yeah,
so
and that's what they did. They've opposed themselves and exalted themselves above the things that which is of God. Okay? And also opposed themselves like the Yahawah Most High. Now, during the time of the Renaissance period, what was that era all about? Really, when you break it down, that was really the era of the revival, the revival time of the Roman Empire, which began around the 15th century. So that was Esau coming back into power and painting themselves as they were the image of divinity. Because prior before the Renaissance era, you had times such as what you call the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages, which we were ruling all over Europe. There's a lot of documents on that. So when Esau came back into power, they got all of the arcs, and they painted them white. All right, okay? So that was the Renaissance period, which is the rebirth of what? The rebirth of the Roman Empire. So let's read this again.
And it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High.
And what you can get, somebody get me Job 9, verse 24.
Yep.
Or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High.
Yeah, so that's what they did. They took all of the art of divinity and put themselves in the picture. When they conquered us, they didn't conquer us and came up with their own philosophy and doctrine. They used what we had and put themselves in the picture. You know, all of these great men in the Middle Ages that made a mark in the world at the time, they all of a sudden became Edomites. They all of a sudden became so-called white people, but in all reality, they were all us. That was all in the midst of Europe. Go on, brother.
May I just add something to what you're saying about those Renaissance images? I was actually looking up the word propaganda, and you actually find definition, well, 4 in this dictionary. It says Roman Catholic Church under the word propaganda itself. So them putting their images, that goes back to, what is it, when it said the heathen shall seek to paint the likeness of their image?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. And that's how they opposed themselves and exalted themselves above all that which is called God, and put themselves as they are the Most High. And that's their mentality. Their mentality is they're too big to fall. And you can see it in their faces when they walk down the street or wherever they walk at. You can see the pride in them. You can almost smell the pride a mile away from when you see one Edomite walking down somewhere. Okay? That's their belief. Their belief is that we've done too much and we can't be taken down. I mean, you Negroes are going to have to apologize and just forget it. Excuse me, not apologize, but, you know, we've apologized to you Negroes, and we've told y'all Negroes, look, slavery's already done for. Like, we can't go back in time. Now what we can do is move forward and undo the wrongs that we've done. No, it's not going to work like that, because the things that was done in the past will soon be paid for, and they're going to pay for what they've done. The proof of that is in the pudding of the fact that we're out here taking a stand and proclaiming the words of the Lord.